Welcome back. That's right. Once again, this is the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast. This is Kevin Johnson of Leverage Consulting. And yes, that's right. I showered with someone else this morning. Those of you who have heard me talk or speak enough, you know that I make a joke about showering with someone different every morning. And this morning was actually really good. The joke behind this is that I listen to a different podcast or video pretty much every morning as I'm taking my shower. You know, it's a little double duty here where I'm trying to absorb and learn something different as I'm getting clean. And so this morning's video was one of the comments or the quote in this video. The guy asked, "Are you sending your ducks off for eagle training?" And, you know, I thought it was a very insightful question. And you might as well. And I was sitting here thinking, I could literally create hours of content off of that one question. And that one question really, if you start thinking about your own business, your own world, your own life, is thinking about the team around you. And whether you are a owner, a doctor, a manager, a team member on the front line with 10 other people, it doesn't matter. The same question applies to everyone. It could be that you have kids and you could be thinking about this question as well. So you think about it, you can't take a duck and send it off for training and expect it to turn into a predator in the sky. That's just not what a duck is built for. And by the same token, you may not take an eagle and turn it into a plant-eating bird that can float on the water. That's just not their thing. So you have to start thinking about the team around you and maybe whether we're doing the same thing. Now, you might be thinking a few steps ahead here and thinking, well, that just doesn't sound like a very nice question because now we're categorizing people. And those of you who know me, I'm not a big fan of eggshells. Let's call it for what it is. And I don't believe many people categorize other people. I believe people categorize themselves. And you categorize yourself by what it is that you do, what it is that you demonstrate. So if you constantly say, I can't, or I won't, or this won't work, or something along those lines, you're categorizing yourself. Okay? So on the flip side of things, there are people who say, let's do it. Let's try it. We can do this. And they are also categorizing themselves. Now, that being said, there's nothing wrong with a duck and there's nothing wrong with an eagle. What we need to think about is kind of like in the Good to Great book, I think chapter 2, are the right people on the right seats of the bus. And you think about your business. If you have a receptionist or someone who's a greeter or scheduling coordinator or whatever title it is, they're the ones that are facing forward. They are the ones that greet your customers, your patients as they walk through the door. If this person has a very dry personality, a very finite kind of personality where 1 + 1 = 2, and there is no deviation from that. I've got work to do. They're a taskmaster. Well, maybe they're not the best person to be sitting as the greeter or the receptionist in your business. You know, that person might be really good at collecting money. That person might be really good at chasing down insurance money. You know, so could you imagine sending, let's take the flip side of this, someone who's always laughing and carrying on and having a great time and they're trying to engage the customers. Could you imagine sending them off for accounting, bookkeeping, or, you know, how to maximize insurance benefits? Whew, talk about sending a duck for eagle training or an eagle to be a duck. I mean, either way you want to look at it, it's just a bad match. And you really need to think about not only the right person for the position, but you need to think about even as a whole. Could you imagine, you know, we have 20 team members, and could you imagine all of your team members are such that they're all extroverts and they're always laughing and talking and what have you, at some point it might be tough to actually accomplish things because we're all talkers and we just like laughing and having a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. But we also do need the element of we just need to get to work and get things done. Conversely, could you imagine if you had nothing but, say, the bookkeeper, accountant type mentality working in your office? Well, it might be a little bit quiet. It might not be the type of place where your patients, your customers walk out and say, whew, I can't wait till I get back there. So, as I said, I could create hours of content off that one question. And you think about your team meetings and your team trainings, and what is the content that we are delivering? Am I delivering content that's appropriate for the duck, or am I delivering content that's appropriate for the eagle? And again, it don't get hung up on is a duck better than an eagle or vice versa. That's not what this is about. This is about they're just different. And it could be the stage of where the employee or the team might be at this time, and the type of training that we're delivering, the team meetings that we're delivering. It could be what we're getting ready for. So many of my clients right now, what we're doing, we're getting ready for summer. For the summer, for many of my clients, is going to be essentially their Christmas retail season. This is a time when they're out to absolutely crush it and have the best summer ever. And one of them, he just had his best. Had his best March and April ever. Now, mind you, he bought the practice and he had his best months ever. And right now I'm thinking the goal could be that we could do 25% more this summer and maybe blow that out of the water. And it could be 40% more over his best months ever. Okay. So, right. You take all this and figure out what type of training, what type of focus do we need to have right now so we can produce, or we can be 25% more productive than we have been previously, but do so in such a way that we have fun. Our patients or our customers leave here laughing, having a good time. The people who sent these patients or customers to us get nothing but great reviews about what an awesome experience it is. That is where we start thinking about the type of training, and are we training for the right thing based on what the business needs are, what the individual's needs are, and also the type of personality we have. And it's not that complex. It is really not that complex. You can take anything that sounds complex and boil it down. In fact, that's one of the definitions of intelligence, is being able to take super complex things and boil it down to something that is simple, where everyone else can understand it. So when you can take a business objective like we are going to have the best summer ever, followed by another business objective of we are going to acquire another, let's just say 100 reviews. We want another, between Google and Facebook, we want another 100 reviews. We're going to do all this by August 31st. So we have these things down, and then we start figuring out from that, do we need to improve our systems to deal with the volume? Do we need to work on activities that are going to actually facilitate our customer service and customer review goals? So we break it down into bite-sized pieces. It's really, really quite simple. But as I said, it's based off of what do we need based on the team that we have and the objectives that we have. And it, like I said, it gets super simple, and you start chunking it down, and then you very easily, you have months, if not a year's worth of team meeting agendas and content. And then you start, and then some of that may even flow over into sub-team meeting content. So I leave you with a question. Are we sending the ducks off for eagle training? Or are we sending the eagles in to learn how to be a duck? That, my friends, is your Resilient Entrepreneur podcast. I hope this one was a good one. If it did create some thought or questions that you'd like to ask me about, please feel free to reach out. In the meantime, stay tuned, because I have yet another awesome podcast coming.